All right, ready to dive deep into something amazing.
Let's do it.
Today we're talking about the pancreas.
The pancreas.
I know. It doesn't have the star power of like the heart or the brain.
True, true.
But trust me, this organ is way more important than most people realize.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got this awesome handout from a medical school professor, Dr. Rasha Eldeeb.
Perfect.
And by the end of this deep dive, you'll not only understand how the pancreas works, but you'll see how it's impacting your life every single day.
It's fascinating, really. Most people don't think about their pancreas until something goes wrong.
Right. But it's constantly working behind the scenes to keep your body running smoothly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so first things first. The pancreas has two main functions, exocrine and endocrine.
Right.
We're going to focus on the exocrine role today.
Which is?
How it helps you digest food,
Ah, right.
like a high-tech food processing plant.
Yeah, I like that. Churning out digestive juices that break down everything you eat.
And get this, it produces 1.2 to 1.5 liters of pancreatic juice every single day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Way more than most people would guess.
It's remarkable. And it's not just some random liquid either. It's full of electrolytes, all sorts of enzymes, each with a specific job to do.
So just to clarify, this pancreatic juice, it's going into our digestive system.
Exactly. Not the bloodstream like some hormones.
Right.
This is all about breaking down food.
Okay, got it. Now, you mentioned enzymes.
Right.
What exactly are they doing?
They're the workhorses of digestion, breaking down carbs, proteins, fats, all that good stuff.
And those enzymes, they're produced in the pancreas.
Right in the pancreas, then secreted into the small intestine.
Okay. But how does the pancreas know when to start producing this juice?
Well, it's kind of amazing. Even just thinking about food can get things going.
Seriously, just thinking about it.
Yep. It's called the cephalic phase. But the real action starts when food actually hits your stomach.
Ah, so that's when the pancreas really kicks into gear.
Exactly. It's like your stomach sends out a signal saying, hey, we need backup down here.
Backup in the form of pancreatic juice.
Exactly. That signal, it's sent through nerves and hormones.
Okay, like a chain reaction.
Sort of. Your vagus nerve, which connects your brain and your gut, tells the pancreas to get ready. And then the hormone gastrin, released by the stomach, ramps things up even further.
Fascinating. So we've got the anticipation phase, the food's here phase.
Right.
What happens next?
And then comes the grand finale, the intestinal phase.
Okay, tell me about it.
So that's when most of the pancreatic juice is released, triggered by partially digested food called chyme, entering the small intestine.
And this is where those pancreatic enzymes really shine.
Exactly.
Breaking everything down.
Exactly. They break down those carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into molecules that your body can actually absorb.
Got it. Okay, but back up a second. You mentioned the small intestine sending a signal.
Right. It's not just the stomach involved. The small intestine also sends signals to the pancreas.
So it's like a back and forth conversation happening.
Exactly. And two key hormones involved in this conversation are secretin and CCK-PZ.
Okay, so what do those do?
Well, secretin is released when that acidic chyme hits the small intestine.
So it's basically saying, hey, too acidic down here, we need help.
That's a great way to put it. And secretin tells the pancreas to release bicarbonate, which neutralizes that acid so the intestine doesn't get damaged.
Makes sense.
And it also slows down the stomach emptying, which gives the small intestine more time to do its job.
Okay. Secretin is the acid neutralizer.
Right.
What about CCK-PZ? What's its role?
CCK-PZ is triggered by fats and proteins entering the small intestine, and it primarily stimulates the pancreas to release those digestive enzymes we talked about.
Proteases, lipase, amylase, all those guys.
Exactly.
So if secretin is like the acid neutralizer, then CCK-PZ is like the party starter for the enzymes.
It does get things going.
They work together.
They do. This whole process, it's a beautifully orchestrated dance of hormones and enzymes.
Incredible.
It really is.
Okay, let's break down those enzymes a bit more. First up, proteases.
Okay.
What's their deal?
Proteases. Think of them like a demolition crew, each with a specialized tool to break down proteins into smaller pieces.
Powerful stuff.
And what's amazing is that they're produced in an inactive form.
What? Why?
It's a safety mechanism to protect the pancreas itself.
So it doesn't digest itself.
Exactly. They only become active when they reach the intestine. It's like a time bomb, but a good one.
That's wild. The body is so smart. Okay, so proteases take care of proteins. What about fats?
Fats are handled by lipase. This enzyme breaks down fats into fatty acids and glycerol.
making them easier to absorb.
Exactly. And it gets an assist from bile salts, which are produced by the liver.
Teamwork.
Always teamwork in the body. Now, remember we mentioned that drug orlistat earlier?
The weight loss drug?
Yeah, that drug actually blocks lipase.
Really?
Yep, which can help with weight loss, but also highlights the importance of getting enough healthy fats from your diet. You don't want to block all fat absorption.
Right, it's all about balance.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got proteases for proteins, lipase for fats.
Right.
What about carbohydrates?
Carbohydrates. Those are broken down by amylase.
Amylase.
It breaks down starch into simple sugars.
Which is why we can eat things like bread and pasta without feeling sick. Right?
Exactly. Amylase is the unsung hero of carb digestion.
Amazing. But wait, there are more enzymes, right?
Oh, yeah. There's ribonuclease and deoxyribonuclease.
What do those do?
They break down RNA and DNA.
RNA and DNA from our food?
From the food we eat, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's gelatinase.
For breaking down gelatin.
Exactly.
Wow. The pancreas really does it all.
It's pretty remarkable. This one organ produces all these different enzymes to break down all these different components of our food.
And if this complex system starts to malfunction...
That's when things can go wrong.
And how do doctors figure out what's happening?
There are lots of tests they can do. Blood tests, stool tests, imaging scans.
To get a picture of what's going on in there.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing what technology can do these days.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about the digestive enzymes.
Right.
But we're also talking about those two key hormones involved in the intestinal phase.
Right.
Secretin and CCK-PZ.
Right.
You mentioned secretin helps neutralize acid.
Yep. Protects the intestine from damage.
What else does it do?
Well, secretin also has another important job. It actually slows down gastric emptying.
Meaning?
It tells the stomach to hold on to the food a little longer.
Why would it do that?
It gives the small intestine more time to process everything.
That makes sense. So it's not just about neutralizing acid, it's also about pacing things out.
Exactly. It's all about coordination.
Okay, so secretin is the acid neutralizer, slows down gastric emptying. What about CCK-PZ? We said it's the enzyme trigger, right?
Right. It primarily targets the release of those digestive enzymes.
But it also does something else pretty fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
It plays a role in satiety.
Satiety.
That feeling of fullness you get after a meal.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yep. CCK-PZ is involved in telling your brain that you're full.
So it's not just about digestion, it's about regulating our appetite, too.
It seems that way. Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. It makes you wonder, what if we could manipulate this system to help people feel fuller for longer?
That's a great question. Could that be a potential treatment for obesity?
It's definitely an area of active research. It's amazing how much we're still learning about these processes.
It's exciting. So even something as seemingly simple as digestion, it's incredibly complex.
And interconnected.
Right. Everything in the body is working together.
All these systems influencing each other.
Amazing. So far, we've been focused on the digestive superpower of the pancreas.
Right, all those enzymes breaking down food.
But that's not all it does. Right?
No, not even close. The pancreas has another major role.
Which is?
Regulating your blood sugar.
Blood sugar. Okay, so we're switching gears now.
A bit, yeah. We're moving from the exocrine function to the endocrine function.
Exocrine is the digestive stuff.
Exactly. Endocrine is about hormones going directly into the bloodstream.
Got it. And the pancreas does both.
It does. It's a multitasking marvel.
Okay, so how does it regulate blood sugar?
Well, to understand that, we need to zoom in on these tiny clusters of cells scattered throughout the pancreas.
Tiny clusters of cells.
Yep. They're called the islets of Langerhans. Kind of a mouthful.
Islets of Langerhans.
They're like little islands in a sea of exocrine tissue.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So these islets, they're the control center for blood sugar.
Exactly. They produce hormones that go straight into your blood, not your digestive tract.
And we're talking about hormones like insulin and glucagon.
You got it.
I vaguely remember learning about those in school.
Everyone does. Insulin is like the key that unlocks the door for glucose to enter your cells.
Okay, so after you eat, your blood sugar goes up.
Right. And insulin helps move that glucose from your blood into your cells.
Where it can be used for energy.
Exactly, or stored for later. Now, glucagon is the opposite. It's like the backup generator. It kicks in when your blood sugar dips too low.
Okay, I'm with you.
Glucagon signals your liver to release stored glucose back into your blood.
Bringing the blood sugar level back up.
Exactly. It's a constant balancing act.
So the pancreas is like the tightrope walker, keeping everything in equilibrium.
I like that analogy. And when that tightrope walker stumbles...
That's when we get problems like diabetes.
Right. Diabetes is essentially a disruption of this balance.
Okay. Diabetes. Okay, can we break that down a little?
Sure. There are two main types, type 1 and type 2. In type 1 diabetes, your immune system attacks the insulin-producing cells in those islets of Langerhans.
So it's like the body's attacking itself.
Essentially, yes, it's an autoimmune disease.
And without those insulin-producing cells.
Your body can't produce enough insulin.
Meaning glucose can't get into the cells.
Exactly. It builds up in the bloodstream instead, which can lead to all sorts of complications.
Wow. Okay, what about type 2 diabetes?
Type 2 is a bit more complex. Your body becomes resistant to insulin. The cells don't respond to insulin as well as they should.
Even if the pancreas is producing enough?
Exactly. It's like the key is there, but the lock is jammed.
I see. So in both types, we end up with high blood sugar.
Right, and that can damage blood vessels and nerves over time, leading to serious health problems.
It's a lot to think about. But it makes sense now how the pancreas is so crucial. It's involved in both breaking down food and managing our energy stores.
Exactly. And it highlights how interconnected everything is.
You know, while we're talking about diabetes, I read something about pancreatic cell transplantation as a potential treatment.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
What's that all about?
It's still very experimental, but the idea is to transplant healthy insulin-producing cells into people with diabetes.
So they could produce their own insulin again.
Exactly. It's like giving them a new set of key makers.
Wow. So it's not just science fiction, it could actually work.
It's still early days, but there's been some promising research.
That's incredible. It really shows the power of scientific innovation.
Absolutely. We're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's exciting to think about. Okay, so we've covered the exocrine and endocrine functions of the pancreas, digestion, blood sugar regulation.
Quite a lot.
Anything else we should know about this amazing organ?
There's one more thing I'd like to touch upon, something Dr. Eldeeb didn't mention specifically in the handout, but it's important.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The link between diet and pancreatic health.
Oh, right. We talked about how a high-fat diet can contribute to pancreatitis.
That's one aspect, yes.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that.
How so?
Well, remember how the pancreas secretes bicarbonate to neutralize that acidic chyme from the stomach?
Yeah.
A diet high in processed foods, saturated fats, sugary drinks, it can really put a strain on that system.
So it's like constantly bombarding the pancreas with an SOS signal.
Exactly. It's like asking it to run a marathon every day.
And over time.
That constant stress can lead to inflammation and damage, possibly contributing to pancreatitis.
Okay, so what can we do to protect our pancreas?
It's not about any one magic food. It's about adopting a healthy dietary pattern overall.
So the same advice we hear for general health.
To a large extent, yes. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein.
The usual suspects?
They provide the nutrients and antioxidants the pancreas needs to function properly.
Got it. Anything else we should be focusing on?
Fiber. Don't forget fiber.
Ah, right. Fiber helps regulate blood sugar.
Exactly, which is super important for pancreatic health. Beans, lentils, whole grains. Load up on those.
Makes sense. It all comes back to balance and supporting our body's natural processes.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned pancreatic enzyme supplements earlier.
Yeah, I've seen those advertised. Do they actually work?
It really depends. For some people with specific conditions like cystic fibrosis or chronic pancreatitis, they can be helpful.
Okay, but not for everyone.
Not necessarily. It's best to talk to your doctor.
They can help determine if supplements are right for you. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. Digestion, blood sugar regulation, even pancreatic cell transplantation. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And it all started with that one handout from Dr. Eldeeb.
Amazing how much we can learn from a single piece of paper, huh?
It's all about asking the right questions and diving deep.
Exactly. And our listeners, they're clearly curious about this stuff.
They want to understand how their bodies work.
And they're not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty details.
Which is great. The more we understand about our bodies, the better we can take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
But the learning doesn't have to stop here.
Right. We encourage everyone to keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep learning about this incredible machine we call the human body. Stay curious. You know, it's funny, as we've been talking about this, I've been thinking about how often we just take our organs for granted.
Yeah.
They're just working away in there.
Behind the scenes.
And we don't even think about them until something goes wrong.
It's true. Most people don't really think about preventative care until they have to.
Right. So we've talked about how the pancreas works.
The basics.
But what can actually go wrong with it?
Well, one of the most common conditions is pancreatitis,
Pancreatitis.
which is inflammation of the pancreas.
Okay. And that can be caused by...
Lots of things. It can range from mild to severe.
So what are some of those things?
Well, gallstones are a big one.
Gallstones.
They can block the pancreatic duct.
Ah, so the pancreatic juice can't get out.
Exactly. And then there's excessive alcohol consumption.
Right. I've heard that's not good for the pancreas.
Definitely not. Smoking is another risk factor.
Smoking. Wow, so many things.
And of course, certain medications and genetic predispositions can play a role too.
So it's not just about eating a greasy cheeseburger every day.
Although that probably doesn't help.
Okay, so what happens if someone has pancreatitis? What does it feel like?
Usually the main symptom is severe abdominal pain,
Abdominal pain.
often radiating to the back. And it can be accompanied by nausea, vomiting, fever, even rapid heartbeat.
Sounds pretty awful.
It can be. In severe cases, it can even lead to complications like infection, organ failure, even death.
So if you're feeling those kinds of symptoms,
Get to a doctor ASAP.
don't mess around.
Exactly. Early diagnosis and treatment are key.
Okay, so we got pancreatitis. What other conditions affect the pancreas?
Well, there's pancreatic cancer.
Pancreatic cancer.
Right.
That's a serious one.
Very serious. It's aggressive and unfortunately often difficult to treat.
Because...
The symptoms are often vague and nonspecific in the early stages.
So it's hard to catch it early.
Exactly.
So what should people be looking out for?
Unexplained weight loss is a big one.
Weight loss. Okay.
Also, abdominal pain, jaundice,
Jaundice, which is...
yellowing of the skin and eyes, and changes in bowel habits.
So if you're experiencing any of those,
Talk to your doctor right away. Don't wait.
it's so important to be proactive.
Absolutely. Your health is your most valuable asset.
Well said. Well, this has been quite a deep dive.
It has. We've covered a lot.
The pancreas is a truly amazing organ.
So small but so mighty.
It affects so many aspects of our health.
Digestion, blood sugar regulation.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn.
That's the beauty of science.
Exactly. It's a never-ending journey of discovery.
Well, to our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep learning about this incredible machine we call the human body.
It's the only one you've got.
So take good care of it, stay curious,